Welcome back into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey here once again with some more NFL draft coverage for you guys. The college football season technically underway, more still to come. Games coming up this weekend. Mel Kiper finally was dragging his feet, finally got his big board out for 2024, so we'll break it down. No surprises here at the top. Number one is Caleb Williams, which I think pretty much everyone saw coming. That's very obvious. I mean, we watched at least the highlights of the first game, right? It was pretty impressive from that perspective. That's not a surprise. Now, if you guys want more NFL draft coverage, various news, rumors, etc., we will have you guys covered. If you want that, though, and even more than what we've been giving you so far, spam your me's in the comment section. Go do it right now. You can type in me multiple times. That's not a problem. Just shows the bosses that you really, really want it. Number two on the list is Marvin Harrison, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. That is the son of the original Marvin Harrison. Makes sense. I like the number 3 spot here, Fashanu out of Penn State. He would have been my number 1 tackle. I was convinced he was going pro. I did all this. It happens every year. There's one guy I got by. I do all this work on. He was going to be my number 1 tackle. I think he would have been the Bears might have kept the number 1 overall pick and taken him. Like, honestly, I mean, they would have traded down, but he would have gone early. Maybe the Cardinals wouldn't have traded down in that scenario. He would have gone early. Number 3 is a good spot for the young, talented tackle at Penn State. Number 4 is Drake Maye, the UNC quarterback. There are some around the league who think Maye is in the same tier as Caleb Williams. I have Williams over Maye, but there's an entire football season still to be played. Could be a good thing or a negative thing for Maye, Williams, etc. Number 5 is Georgia tight end Brock Bowers. If you've watched our mock drafts, he hasn't gone in the top 10, mine or the last ESPN one, because the math was not mathing in terms of who needs a tight end or really a giant slot receiver who can block a little bit, and that's valuable because that's a testament to his playmaking abilities. In that same caliber of athlete Kyle Pitts is, maybe, but he's not that far behind. He's going to be a premium player at a not premium position. Now, who do you think is the best player in the 2024 NFL Draft? Is it Caleb Williams? Is it Bowers? Somebody else mentioned or not yet mentioned? It is today's pinned comment, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Number 6, we have our first defensive player, Jared Verse out of FSU, the defensive end. I'm labeling with what Mel had labeled, by the way. Verse probably would have been a top 20 pick. I don't love the guys after the top 5. I think that there's a tier break there as it sits currently, but I have no issues with Verse being the top defensive player on the board. Number 7 is Joe Alt out of Notre Dame, the tackle, who could be, tackle 3 or 4 even taken, but I think he's a first-round player. No issues there. No issues with Kool-Aid McKinstry being number 8 on this list, the Alabama corner. First off, I'm a big believer in what I call the name theory. If you have a cool name, you're going to be good. You're going to be a good football player. This dude's name is Kool-Aid. Come on, how are you not going to be great? Another great Bama corner, I suspect, under Nick Saban. Number 9, Chop Robinson. He has the upside to go this high. Of that, I have no doubt. I think it's still more of a tools projection over production at this stage. But I think a breakout season is coming, and that's why I had him in my last first-round mock draft. Another Bama boy, J.C. Latham, the offensive tackle who, kind of like Evan Neal, is just a massive human being, also plays on the right side. If you want a right tackle, this is probably your best guy in the class as of now. Kalen King at number 11. Again, I like it. I think he is just behind Kool-Aid McKinstry, for me, before we get to the full season. So no issues him being just out to the top 10 on Mel's big board. So far, so good for Mel Kiper. Now, if you want to bet on college football, the NFL, or the NFL draft, do it with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Head over to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code NFLDaily. You can bet on the number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams, a heavy favorite. He's minus 400. You don't see that high of odds normally. It often ends up being, even money up until even the combine gets going. Not the case for Caleb Williams, an early, massive betting favorite. Then it's Drake Maye. I'd say Williams, Maye's got the value, but I probably wouldn't go beyond those two at this moment. Go bet on it, chatsports.com/bet. Promo code NFL Daily gets you a 125% deposit bonus when you put down at least $100. Number 12, Dallas Turner. He's a little bit undersized to an extent. It's a little thin, I would say. I think he'll have more success when, Will Anderson isn't opposite him and not getting home before him. He's not the same caliber of player right now that Will Anderson is, but he does have the traits to be even a top 10 pick in this upcoming draft. Leonard Taylor, number 13 overall here, the defensive tackle out of Miami. I'm excited to see him probably torch my Miami Redhawks offensive line. Upside, traits are all there. A lot of these defenders fall into a similar category of there is no Will Anderson, obvious top 5 pick, but there are guys who could become a top 5 pick. They just have to show it. I appreciate the Keon Coleman love here. I would not put him at 14. I think that's a little bit early, but I do think he's going to have a big-time season. Michigan State's quarterback play was garbage last year, but between Coleman and Jaden Reed, they had 2 great receivers. Now Coleman gets to go play for Jordan Travis. That is an upgrade for him. Do not sleep on him as a first-round pick. Michigan's Chris Jenkins on the list here. His dad, by the way, did play for the Carolina Panthers, was an All-Pro. That's the same Chris Jenkins, by the way. I don't know if he'll really be a top 15 pick. I think it's a little bit early, but I'm not upset about him getting some love. Let's put it that way. I would have Drazon Newton over Jenkins. Now, Newton's a little bit smaller. He was playing a bunch of nose tackle snaps for Illinois at under 300 pounds, and he's going to be a dynamic 3 technique in the NFL. I think he has the burst that is a little bit tougher to find at that position. It's a good interior defensive tackle class. You got 3 of them in the top 16. That's a big deal. Help us continue to grow here at Chat Sports by subscribing. We'll have daily videos, 2 weekly live shows for you guys on the NFL, and more. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Number 17, Malik Neighbors, who has some fantastic speed. I thought LSU's offense got going around the time he got going as well. He is 1 spot ahead of Emeka Egbuka. I think Ibuka's got a higher floor. Maybe Neighbors has the higher ceiling. Both these guys, I think, fit as kind of a back end of round 1 option at the wide receiver spot, or maybe mid-tier round 1 makes some more sense given how valued receivers are in the modern day NFL. Number 19, Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. You had 2 first-round picks last year, Lucas Van Ness, Jack Campbell, a white corner in Riley Moss. Now another white corner, which sounds mean, but it's also kind of funny because it's true. Play slot, play outside. I liked Riley Moss a lot last year. I was higher on him than I think where he ended up getting drafted grade-wise. I think Cooper DeJean's a bit better. He's in as long as he plays well again. Obviously, for all those guys, that rings true. He's got first-round potential. All right, Riley Leonard out of Duke. I actually appreciate the love here. I'll make note, it's Riley Leonard at 20, Bo Nix at number 21, so we'll kind of group them together and talk about them both here because there is no Quinn Ewers, there is no J.J. McCarthy. I found that curious there. It's only currently, we'll see how the entire year plays out. I think I will have a higher grade on Riley Leonard than I did Daniel Jones. I didn't like Daniel Jones that much coming out. Took him a couple of years to actually show some promise in the NFL even. I think Leonard has some great size, frame, dual threat ability there. Let's see how he fares. Week 1 against Clemson. Big game for him. Then Bo Nix. I have memed him plenty about his time at Auburn and made jokes about it. He is a completely different player now at Oregon. It was unbelievable. He went from being, this dude's not getting drafted, to this guy was a Heisman contender, and I think will be again this year. That doesn't mean necessarily Bo Nix ends up being a first-round pick, but I will stop making my jokes about Nix, being, terrible like he was at Auburn. So prediction time. Will Bo Nix be a first-round pick in the 2024 NFL Draft? Get those votes in for me in the comment section. Y for yes or N for no. Latu here out of UCLA. Kind of a bigger-bodied edge. He's listed at 6'5", 265. We'll see if the consistency stays there. A ton of pressures for UCLA at the frame and size. Mel's thinking 3-4 outside linebacker. I think he could play 4-3 base defensive end. Maybe kind of in that Tank Lawrence mold a little bit. Josh Newton out of TCU, he played very well last year, allowed under 35% catch rate. That stuff is awesome and special. He was a 3-year starter at UL Monroe, transferred to TCU, has a chance to have another big-time season. I did like JT Tuimoloau, and Mel writes in his article that if you picked the Ohio State-Penn State game to only watch it last year, you'd think Tuimoloau was going to be the number 1 overall pick. And that is true. He had 2 sacks, a forced fumble recovery, INT, and a touchdown. That is one of 3 players ever to do that in college football. Like he looked incredible. The problem is he didn't do anything else the other games. He had 1.5 sacks combined. So if you get OSU, PSU, JT Tuimoloau, top 5 lock. You get that all season long. Otherwise, it's kind of more in that Zach Harrison mold of like, hey, he's a great athlete, got promise, but hasn't put it together yet. Amarius Mims in a similar boat here, I think, is kind of the offensive version of JT Tuimoloau, except he didn't get to play that much because there were other guys ahead of him. He had 2 starts last year in the college football playoff and looked awesome. If he does that for an entire season, drop the 2. He might be a top 5 pick. So there's a lot of names that Mel did not get to. He only did 25. He never just threw 2. I don't know why. Maybe he's just a coward. Either way, who did Mel Kiper leave off of his list? Let me know in the comment section right now.